Joining us now to discuss this is the Director of the Indigenous Forum at the Centre for Independent Studies, great organisation. Go to cis.org.au for more from them. But joining us from CIS is Warren Mundine. Warren, great to see you as always.
Good to see you.
You're a leading figure on the No campaign. You had a superb article the other day where you basically said, hang on, why are the people who we quoted in the No leaflets opposing the fact that we quoted them? So tell us exactly your point there.
Look, the point is, our campaign couldn't do it better than the Yes campaign, and that's what we're jealous about. They're actually outdoing us in regarding to about why you should vote no, and I just find that totally bizarre, But we had a conversation the other day saying maybe we should just close down and go and have a cup of tea and let them run it all, but because the reality is they are all over the place. You've got Professor Greg Craven, who's angry because we said what he actually said.
You quoted him accurately.
I shouldn't do that.
How dare you?
And then you look at Thomas Mayer, you look at all these people, Teela Reid and Noel Pearson, and all these. You're actually quoting what they actually said, and they're getting very angry about that. How dare you?
Well, Warren, I want to ask about that, though, because there seems to have been this concerted shifting of gears here from the likes of Noel Pearson and others in the Yes campaign to go from that really aggressive posture that Noel Pearson took in the Herald and the Age this weekend. They're, rehabilitating Thomas Mayo and acting like, a few things he said, that was all long in the past. Coming from the No campaign, you've still got, depending on the poll, between 10 and 30% of people who haven't engaged, who are still undecided. How concerned are you that the Yes campaign, with this new soft shoe approach, when they're not being sort of vigorous and aggressive like they were before, could wind up actually turning the tide in favour of Yes?
Look, I always laugh when I talk about it. That was they said years ago. It's sort of like saying, Mao wrote a little red book. It was just a harmless little red book, that's all. Look, they had to change it because the polling is just disastrous. They had about 80% support in August last year.
Wow.
Then it went to 60%, and in the last 3 months, it's just tanked. It's gone down. Look, it's really going to be very, very hard for them to turn that around, because anyone who's been involved in polling, OK, when it goes down, a few percentage points, 5 or 6 percentage points, and you don't get any rise, you're in big trouble. These people, their vote has halved in that period of time.
Now, on that, why do you think that is? So do you think it is because people are learning, that you're putting the information out there about what the risk of the voice is? This seems to... what seems to upset the Yes camp is the moment you point out what the voice might actually do if it ever gets into power. Isn't that the bottom line?
Yeah, I know. Well, the problem we have is we let the cat out of the bag. And the Australian public aren't mugs. Look, they're very genuine. They like to see our recognition of Aboriginal people in the Constitution, like a preamble or something like that. But they don't want this voice. And they also really care about practical outcomes. Every time you ask a question about, well, how's the voice going to do this practical outcome, and they say, we got this magic wand, so it just waves around and then it's all fixed. It's just that this is what their own words are turning against them. People are sitting there and going, well, you said it in Alice Springs that if we had a voice, we'd be able to, this wouldn't have happened. Yeah. We'll prove it. Yeah. And they've never been able to prove it.
Well, we've already got so many advisory bodies, so many people working in this space, and we're not getting the outcomes. Why you'd want to be enshrining that into the Constitution? I want to ask you about the front page of today's papers, harrowing story about yourself, how this abuse from these race-obsessed folk has impacted you personally. I see some of the really ugly attacks you cop that are racist, they're vile, they are soul-destroying stuff, and it has pushed you to the brink. Can you Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the good news is it was said by people who are against racism.
Yes, so it makes it okay.
So that sort of made it a bit better. I hate to think what the racists would be saying. But yeah, it did. It really did push me to the brink, and a whole lot of issues come out of that. My thing was talking about it, because Matt Cunningham, who did the story, said, "Well, are you happy for this to go out?" Is that because it's for the wider community, that if you're having these problems, these health problems, mental health problems, then go and seek help. And go out there, seek help, and work with your friends, and that's helping with me. You know.
So to be clear, Warren, just explain, for the benefit of our viewers. So you contemplated taking your life because of the abuse.
Yeah, that's right. It was a constant thing for about 3 months. Every day I got up, and that's how I thought about it. And I planned it. I planned it twice to do it. And in the end, I remember once, and it was on the 60 Minutes show, where I went out the back yard. It was over a 20-metre drop at the back of my house. And so I went out and I was going to throw myself over, and I just laid in the rain thinking about it. And I thought about my family, and I thought, well, this would really affect my family if I did this. And so I laid there for a few hours before I calmed down and that. Another time I got off the plane in Sydney and just walked straight into the office, and I'm going to go to the 30th floor and just throw myself off. But again, I thought about my family. I thought about what that would do to them, and I stopped myself. But it's a constant. It's a constant thing that I have. Yeah.
But I know you and your family very well, and am privileged to do so. And you've got a wonderful family. The abuse was it the fact that you were being abused so relentlessly by Indigenous Australians that upset you?
Well, it was two areas. One, it was, you get the people on the fringe, you don't care about them. They're just crazy people, and it doesn't worry. But the thing that really affected me was yes, it was from Indigenous people who knew me, and it was from the Yes campaign leaders. You looked at Noel Pearson's comments, and he made a dreadful racist comment against me in the Australian, and it was so bad that the Australian had a note next to it that I don't agree with his. I just don't know why the Australian actually wrote the article. And then you got him, you got Marcia Langton, who I've known for 30 years. You've got a whole wide range of people like that. So these are central to this election. It's not like they're the fringe.
Yeah.
And so that really hurt me. And then, because I know a lot of these people, some of them worked for me in the past, and I just, politics is politics. But when you start using racial abuse and attacking people like that, then that's just a no-go.
And you're worried about Senator Jacinta Price, and because she's copying it in a similar fashion, it is so ugly, so relentless. Yeah. Tell me why you're worried about it. I'm
worried because she's a personal friend of mine. She has stayed, her and her husband stayed at my place. Their kids, when they're doing boarding school, stayed at our place in the weekend. Her mum and dad, Bess and David have stayed at our place. But she is a champion. This is the thing that I don't understand. When Bess come out highlighting the domestic violence and sexual abuse of children in Aboriginal communities, she got abused. And then Jacinta come out and fought for that too, and she got abused. I thought you'd be a hero, you'd be put on a platform, and then we'd shine a light on this issue and start working towards fixing it. So she's copped all this stuff, and I've seen some of the word, like someone outside Alice Springs writ on the highway, some of the worst language you could ever write about a woman, and talking about rape and sluts and all this type of stuff. And so I'm really concerned about her, and I say to people out there, when you see her in the street, give her a cuddle. It is because she's such an powerful, important voice for this country.
Well, as you know, Warren, I was recently in WA and up in Broome, and Indigenous Australians were asking me to put them in touch with you, in particular, and Jacinta, because you have huge support amongst Indigenous Australians, clearly amongst all Australians, and absolutely that is the support you need to know, and I think we're seeing that anyway in the figures.
And those people aren't on Twitter, are they?
Exactly.
So
They're not on
right.
Twitter.
They're
The
not
real
on Twitter, but they're real
Australians are so
Australians.
proud of you and support your incredible bravery. I mean, it is phenomenal. And I'll just say there, if you are having any mental health issues or anything, Lifeline will put up the number there. Warren, so the next couple of months is going to be pretty intense.
Oh, it's going to get worse.
So what's it... we've got the documentary that you're in on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, Sky documentary with Matt Cunningham, which will be terrific. What else is happening over the next 3 months?
Well,
how's it going to play out?
We've done a great video of a very handsome Aboriginal man talking about his life. How he, modesty, I can't say his name, modesty sort of...
Initials Warren Mundine, possibly? No.
It's sort of like an Australian journey about... And it answers the questions in a very short period about, OK, the real thing is we've got to stop, treating Aboriginal as one... Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders as one harmonious group. We've got to start focusing, because I don't need help, my mental health maybe, but other things I don't need, and Noel Pearson and all these people don't. What we've got to do is actually focus on the people who do need help and needs. And the golden rule is very simple. It is education. That's the key to opening the door to better life. Economic participation, that's getting a job or running a business, and it's about how you get the social norms back into your community. Like, I don't go next door and throw bricks through my neighbour's window, and he doesn't do it to me. We don't kick over each other's garbage bin. We have respect for each other, and we treat each other that way. And also we've got to work on those law and order issues, and they're going to be a tough question for us. But having an education and having an economic development investment into your community, they help.
And the key thing you said is home ownership as well. I mean, that's absolutely critical.
Well, it was one of the bizarre things, and I do give Nigel Scullion, the former Indigenous Australian Minister, we sat down and we come up with this idea about home ownership on Aboriginal land, because 55% of Australia, all these Yes campaigners talk about like nothing happened. 55% of Australia has gone back to Aboriginal people.
Yes.
But the law is such that you can't actually own your own house on this land.
It's called communism. Let's call it what it is.
Yes,
it's communism. Yeah.
It is. And so we, in 2018, we twigged those laws so you actually could own your own home. But that's all been taken back now. It's all been changed. It's common sense tells you if your parents have got to own a home, very likely you're going to own a home, very likely your grandchildren are going to own a home, and your children. And this is where economic prosperity comes from, and this is where you get safe communities.
Warren Mundine, Australia needs you more than ever, so thanks for being here with us, and keep up the sensational work you're doing, mate.
The best one was Sam Kovacevic rung me, and I loved it because we're going to have a barbie with a few lamb chops.
Fantastic, how brilliant. Warren Mundine, and don't forget this Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, The Voice, Australia Decides, will be airing right here on Sky News. Very special documentary that will thoroughly cover, yes, both sides, the yes and the no sides of the debate. You'll hear from Warren, you'll hear from Jacinta, you'll hear from all sorts of people. That's this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Make sure you are watching that. I know I certainly shall be.